Tim Rice-Oxley are here. They formed the band Keane. Good morning.
Morning.
This is your fourth release called Strangeland. So you're touring on that now. You're going to be performing tonight here in Toronto.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sound Academy.
This is the first time that Daru's husband has shown up to see anyone at all.
Especially
Very
for
honest
you.
wife.
Yes.
So it's great to have you here. For people who aren't familiar with your music, how would you describe it?
Ooh, where do we start? Well, obviously the best thing to do is to listen to it. But we're a rock band. We grew up listening to bands like U2 and the Beatles were a big influence on us. Very kind of entrenched in that British music scene, I suppose. Yeah.
I was going to say I love listening to you guys, and it's because I'm a little piney, and there's a lot of pining in your music, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's a bit of that English melancholy thing going on. But, yeah, we try and balance like melancholy lyrics with kind of uplifting tunes.
Is that sort of the tone in this album? Is it sort of getting back to where you guys were a few years ago, or how would you describe it?
I think it's got some of that thing going on. I think that's probably where we're drawn to instinctively. You know, it's that's like Tom said, it's like a classic British songwriting thing. You sort of write these really happy melodies that bounce along, but the lyrics are really depressing. They're not all depressing.
They're not all depressing on this record. I mean, I think this record's got a lot more hope in it than any of the previous records. Very compassionate album, I think.
Did you have trouble kind of getting off the mark? Because for a while, people thought, oh, Coldplay's doing whatever these guys are doing, and then you kind of had that. You had to punch through that somehow.
I think we felt that more acutely than anyone, because we actually, back in '97, that's 98, 99, sometime around then, we were doing shows in London, and Tim was great friends with Chris Martin from Coldplay, and so we were doing shows with them, and they would support us one night, we would support them the next night, right. And of course their trajectory was much quicker. They sort of set off much faster than we did and had records out long before we did. So we sort of used to look at them longingly, thinking, you know, God, we'd love to be in the same position. Yeah. But eventually it came. You know.
What turned the tide?
Well, this guy wrote some great songs. I think we sort of had to learn our trade. You know, I think a lot of the time these days, people expect sort of things to come very quickly in the music industry. And actually, I think we did it in quite a traditional way of learning our skills and honing it over a number of years. And it just took a long time.
How do you feel about the commercial aspect of the use of your music? And you know, I think a lot of people probably know it from soundtracks of like shows like OC. Is that something that helped you along, and are you okay with that?
I'm just glad when people hear our music at all. I mean, it's, you know, things are so... The way people hear music now has changed so much, and you just gotta, if you believe in your songs, you just gotta hope that you can get them out there.
The music
somehow.
business is such a funny business. I can't think of another business where success equals crap. You
said it.
Right? It doesn't make any sense, but music people really get their, you know, noses up about the minute it's been, you know, licensed or it's sold, you know, X million copies. They're like, I'm well over it. It means, no. People like it. Like, why does that have to be a bad thing in your industry?
It's particularly bad in Britain that, you know, you get knocked down once you've sort of on the way up. You know, we were sort of touted as the next big thing, and people were very excited and were writing great things about us. And I remember once a certain music magazine, a cool music magazine in the UK, wrote a great review of a single that we'd released independently. And then we released the same single with a major label once the album had done quite well, and they slated it with the second review. So it just shows that that's the way people react. I think it's particularly hard in the UK. When we've come to North America and Canada, it's been different.
It is a crazy business, though, because now you've got all of these talent shows, which are so much a part of the public consciousness, and people come out of those things like racehorses, and then you don't, you know, I don't know whether they intend to have a good arc in their career or not. What is the key to longevity in the music industry now? I mean, is there any way to figure that out?
You've definitely got to work hard, but I think the basic truth is that the good stuff always comes through, you know, and the bad stuff, you know, always falls eventually. You just can't, you know, people are going to be spending their hard-earned money on the music at the end of the day, so it's got to be good. You know, you get these people who come off the talent shows and they might have one big single or one big album or something, but unless they really do have something magical, then it won't last. So it's, you know, I think people still want to hear great music, whoever's making it.
Has it been an advantage for you two, since you guys were childhood friends? You've really had a chance to grow up together. The fact that you've been through a lot together, has that been sort of helpful to you?
Yeah, I think it probably has. Yeah, you know, we've met some challenging times along the way. Let's put it that way.
You've been relating to each other?
Oh yeah, I mean we're very British.
Has he changed? Do you think he's changed? And do you think he's changed? at all?
Inevitably, I think we've all changed. Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
that's diplomatic.
Yeah. But it's like being in a family or something. You know how it's, you know, one of the hardest things about being really close to people is you always expect them to be the way they were when, you know,
Yeah.
when you were a kid or whatever it is. And I think you've just got to learn that people change, and you've got to try and get used to that and respect each other and all that stuff. It's just part of growing up, really.
You were
But
talking about the melancholy lyrics. When you're writing that, where are you? Where are you drawing? I'm thinking, are you crying?
What gets you
while you're
depressed?
writing that? It's where are you drawing that sadness from?
Oh, you know, I mean, we'll just sort of... Everyone's the same in a way, aren't they? You know, everyone has the same kind of dreams and disappointments and regrets. And
You were talking about Chris Martin earlier. Sometimes when I love Coldplay, but when I listen to something like
cheer
dude.
up.
Well, or even Adele, you know, get your heart broken
Yeah,
once, and boy,
that-
spin
yeah.
a number of songs.
you know what?
out of
That's
that.
where the best music comes from most of the time. Is from heartbreak and from anxiety and regret and sadness, and these things they're kind of rich pickings for great songs, I think.
What was it like when you were playing with the bands that you grew up listening to? Because you've played with who? U2, a number of other huge bands.
Amazing.
Yeah, is it?
Astonishing, yeah. I remember just playing with U2 for the first time and just being part of the whole kind of operation. I mean, it is a huge machine, the U2 thing, on the road. You know, hundreds of crew and then obviously meeting the guys. But actually the sweet thing was, despite this huge entourage and this huge show they put on, they're just 4 blokes from
Really?
Dublin who are in a band. Do you know what I mean?
That's
And
awesome.
they're very sweet and very lovely, and their hearts are just all about making music, which is something we really identified with.
We're so glad you could come by, and we want to mention that if you go to morningshow.ca, you can find out how to win a pair of tickets to Keane's concert, which is happening tonight at the Sound Academy. Tom Chaplin and Tim Rice-Oxley, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
We're going to take a break. Back in a minute. Thanks.